Ahoy! Welcome back to Girl Historians.
I'm Carley.
And I'm Blair.
And this is the comedy podcast where we talk about history and our girls.
And welcome to the first episode of The Curse of the Kennedys.
Okay. We've landed on a title.
And we've landed on a title. Well, because I was like, what would be a snappy title?
I'm obsessed.
We could do The Curse of the Kennedys, or we could do the Kennedys.
I like the Curse of the Kennedys.
The Curse of the Kennedys?
Yeah.
Because they're like a curse.
And it's that's clickbait, baby.
I also think that this season could just be called Catholic.
Yeah.
Catholics.
That feeling when you're Catholic.
That feeling when you're Catholic.
Yeah.
That's what we should have on a t-shirt. Just a t-shirt that says that feeling
when you're Catholic. New Pope.
That's what I'm saying. I know.
Speaking of new
Pope, he's American.
Which feels kind of crazy.
I
knew there was one from New Jersey that was also in the running. So I got
Sure.
fucking into this. I was in Conclave has changed me.
I know.
I now I'm obsessed.
Follow it like an election. Because it is.
Because it is. Yeah.
It's an
I mean, it's
election
somebody with
Pope.
soft power, but
he's got power. He's got a really big hat.
it's going to be interesting to see like how the Catholic Church, like I wonder if, and nobody cares about this but us, but
I think a lot of people care about it. Did you see Pope Crave on
I was
Twitter?
following Pope Crave.
Pope Crave or something had an offshoot.
Pope Crave,
Pope
all
Crave.
about the Pope.
The Pope and the Conclave.
The Conclave.
Just
So,
saying.
yeah, it'll just be interesting because I wonder if like a big kind of turning point and almost like, election theme in the conclave around this time is really just like the survival of the Catholic Church, because it does feel really
For
like
sure.
they have by far the cuntiest aesthetics.
Yes.
They're there.
The biggest hats.
The biggest hats, like jewelry, scary
windows,
paintings,
scary paintings.
like they've got a lot going for them. It's literally just like all of the rules that I think really gets, and the molestations. Like that's tough.
Yeah, I think we're skirting around the molestations
Which
of it
is
all.
probably that's probably number one. But then number two is
Yeah.
women aren't in the church.
Yeah.
Gay people can't get married. You can't get divorced.
What is it? I saw this joke. This is not my joke, but I saw it on Instagram where one guy's like, it's crazy that women can't be pope. They also can't be bishops, which is crazy because women be shopping. I thought that was very funny. I wish I could find that comedian because I was laughing at that's a perfect kind of joke for me.
Yeah.
It's like my
loose
dream
pun.
joke. Just loose nothingness. But yeah, sorry, you were saying about the Pope. The Catholic Church is really clinging on right now.
So I wonder like what it feels like a real pivotal time for them.
Well, and
We should have done like a play-by-play.
I know. We really took a break at the opportune time for us to do like sports casting on the conclave.
Yes.
I didn't even watch the smoke. I wasn't tracking the smoke. I was just getting
was
updates
quick.
at the end of the day.
They didn't elect on the
take
first
that
day, but
long.
this is the second day.
Yeah, they
So I
didn't
think it was like the second vote on the second day that they,
Yeah, that's
that they-
kind of nice.
yeah, real quick.
I know he's not a big fan of gays.
And are any of them, but he's definitely more evil. I do think Pope Francis, obviously, is problematic. He
Well,
said some things.
I feel like if you're a pope,
You're problematic.
You take on.
Yes.
You
It's like
take
how
on a
every
lot.
single president is obsessed with bombing the Middle East. Like, you don't
Yeah.
get that job. You don't become president of the United States of America
If
without
you're against bombing the Middle East.
So it's like, I feel like the Pope is the same thing where it's like, you're not going to become the Pope if you're not like problematic.
Yes.
But I do think Pope Francis was actually, as far as popes go, and the bar's on the ground, pretty good. Outside of him being like, no, my friend didn't molest. He did not molest anybody.
Yeah.
And that time he said the F slur in Italian.
That was awesome.
Twice
though.
in one day, I think.
That was really cool. And you know what? And we were texting about this, but I think he was right.
He said-
Why do you need gay bishops when the bishops are already super gay?
That's what he said. They were like, do you think that people, that gay people should be in the clergy or something? It was better than that. It was a more complicated question than that. But he was just like, no, because the bishops are already too F slurry.
Yeah.
But like in Italian, like
Yeah.
whatever the Italian.
Fagulia.
Yeah, literally.
Or whatever.
I think it literally was
think
something
that actually
like,
might
I
have
think
been the
it's
word.
literally that. And then later that same day, I think, or like that week, he said it again.
He was like, I'm sorry for saying fagulia.
He said it twice, and then they told him like, you can't say that. And it's so obvious that he said it once.
Yeah.
And then was like,
That feels good in the mouth. that feels good.
I forgot about
in the
that
mouth.
slur. I forgot about that.
forgot
one.
about that
Then
slur.
Finally, they had a weekly all hands on deck meeting. They're like, listen, you cannot be saying that. Like, we are homophobic.
Yeah, but you can't like say the bad words.
Because he was very like, his whole vibe was very much like, well, it is a sin. And same with being trans. Being
Yes.
like, well, it is a sin, but we should accept people whether or not they live in sin. Like, we should aim
Yeah.
for forgiveness, which as far as Catholic popes go,
Pretty
is
good.
about as leftist lib you can possibly get.
Also, everything's a fucking sin. I'm sorry. Like,
mixing fabrics, girl.
mixing fabrics is a sin. Like, literally everything. I went to Catholic school until grade 7 when I opted to leave. I had to ask.
Hell yeah.
I said, please don't make me go to the Catholic school anymore. I want to go to public school. And I was never properly Catholic, so I never got my communion.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna miss you.
I can never get relieved. Yeah, when you're in heaven and I'm in hell. But like, truly, like, I could never get relieved of my sins. And that's the whole thing. You can do basically anything in Catholicism if you go and say Hail Marys and say sorry.
Yeah, that's what, because I did that. I didn't go to Catholic school, but I was baptized and communed or whatever.
You got your communion?
I did,
You wore
yeah.
a little puff sleeve
Little
white
puff
dress.
sleeve white dress. And now
little-
what's kind of crazy
little
about that, and this
bread.
is what I do like about Catholicism, is like you said, that the thing that is attractive to me is you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yes, as long as you say sorry.
Right before you die, you go, I actually didn't mean any of
Darn it, I didn't mean any of it.
I know I've murdered 17 people in a rage-filled
feel
murder
really
spree.
bad about
I
it.
actually do feel bad about it. And then God's like, okay, you can go to heaven.
God's like,
Even
as
if
long as
the-
you're feeling guilt.
Yes,
You
literally.
can get in the door.
And I'm
You
like,
can get
that
in.
I do like.
No, it's cool. It's like a cool religion in that way. And then they're like, also, we're just gonna keep like real kind of like the amount of like BDSM and burlesque like scenarios that are just like straight up priests. I'm like, this is so just like gross and like, but like kind of horny.
Well, it's the same thing as student teacher.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, right. So, but is this based off of very real instances of abuse? And I'm sure that people do like use it to like recontextualize. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about somebody who has a history of this abuse and they're trying to recontextualize it through kink. I'm talking about the freaks who totally fine, apropos of nothing, are like, I want to cosplay as a molesting priest.
Yeah, exactly. No, like it is really kind of like horny and weird in that way.
Well,
where
that's
it's just like
that's hot priest.
even just like going to confession, there's something so horny about it
love
where
it.
it's like you go into the booth and you're like, you tell daddy what you did wrong this week.
And you can say anything and they can't tell anyone.
Yeah.
You could just go in and say like, I'm fucking murdered people.
Yeah. And they
the
can't
priest has
tell
to
a
sit
fucking
with
thing.
It's awesome.
What the hell, dude?
It's like, no wonder this is rife for abuse.
Yeah. Yesterday I was in the liquor store and there were 2 priests in there and they were buying rosé. So they're gay.
Communion's
What
about to
I'm
go
saying.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really kind of shocking. I was on the phone with my friends because I have a bridal shower this weekend. I'm losing my mind over it, as Carley has heard endlessly about. I'm so sorry.
No,
But
you're fine.
I was on the phone with my friend basically freaking out about this bridal shower. And then I was like, okay, wait, but we need to reel back. There's 2 fucking priests in here and they're buying Niagara region rosé.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Not a lot you can do to focus in on in that
No,
situation.
I understand that we are trying to plan this important event, but I'm going to need us to take a quick break and talk about the 2 priests buying Niagara region
priests who are here.
wine right now, please.
Yeah, I'm just like, where do they even live? It's
I don't
crazy
know.
what
I remember
that
when
is.
I was in Spain and I would see nuns. That was really, really exciting.
That's cool.
Because there was a couple
You
of
never
nuns.
see nuns.
No, you never see nuns here.
never see
I would
nuns.
see a couple of nuns where I grew up in the States. Just like like not a lot, but I remember seeing a couple. And I really never see nuns anymore.
No, I feel like
Where are
nuns
they?
are almost like not really in Canada.
Right?
Well,
I guess maybe there is part of it like they're kind of going off to like do work. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
they
are
do
they like
missionary
doing
work.
missionary
They like
work?
leave and they
Show up
do
to like a
other
place that's been
things.
ravaged by colonialism and they're like, listen, so God loves you.
God loves you,
And he is real.
God
he
loves
loves
you.
to
He
be
is
real.
real, and he
loves how
wants
real he is.
you to feel bad about those. Yeah. My dad, when he went to school, his teachers were nuns, which I always find really
Crazy.
freaky.
Yeah. They should not be like, I'm sure some of the nuns are good teachers, but there's no way they're all good teachers.
No. Anyway, okay, I think our listeners want us to talk about the Canadian election.
You think?
Is that something you guys want?
You think? Oh, I wanted to tell you before we talk about the Canadian election. Similar. I saw Feist at Loblaws today.
Shut the fuck. How would you even recognize Feist?
Well, I was with Reese.
Oh, well,
And
Reese would
recognizes
recognize Feist.
Yeah.
Damn, he would.
Yeah.
Because Feist is from somewhere weird, isn't she? Where is she from?
She's Canadian, right?
Yeah. She's the one, if you don't know, she goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, tell me that you love me more.
And she was broken social scene.
Yeah, she was in Broken Social. Well, everyone was in Broken Social Scene.
We need more of that.
We need more
We
Canadian
need-
mega bands.
We need broken social scene, the equivalent of whatever that is
Yes, now.
now.
I think the Arkells should just add like 20 new members.
Yeah, make a super group.
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
Or you know what would be down with Webster?
Okay.
just alienating so many listeners right now. Down
everyone's
with Webster.
clicking off. Everyone's clicking. If you listen really carefulully, you can hear the sound of every single person like clicking off the
being
podcast.
like, oh fuck, they started talking about Down with Webster.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want a treat, go onto Spotify, look up Down with Webster, Your Man, and have a you know it.
I don't think I do.
Do you not know Down with Webster?
No.
That's crazy. Okay, because Mark Carney, when he got elected,
I
he was
do
wearing a
know
Down
this.
with Webster sweater that said Prime Minister, and he was singing a Down with Webster
I
song.
did see the video of him singing. I didn't know that was a Down with Webster song.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, Mark Carney is our new prime minister.
Woohoo!
I have a little bit of tea for kind of about like the
Okay.
PR of it all.
Okay.
So if you don't know, and why would you know? The Canadian election happened recently.
And it was contentious.
It was contentious for
which
a long
never
time.
really happens in Canadian politics.
Yeah. So we had our old prime minister, Justin Trudeau, his minister of finance.
Chrystia Freeland.
Yes. She released a big letter. He was not going to step down even though he's polling really, really badly.
Mm-hmm.
She released this big letter being like, he doesn't listen to me. I cannot stand by and watch him like
Destroy the
country.
economy and destroy the country.
And then Trump got elected and he stepped down. Then
Yes.
Trump got elected and he hates Trudeau. So that made Trudeau actually pull pretty good.
Yes.
But he was already decided to step down. And the people that everyone thought was going to win was Pierre Poilievre, who's the head of our Conservative Party.
Yeah.
We don't have a two-party system. We have several parties, but there's two that generally get the majority. And then we have like the NDP, which sometimes will be the
I'm pretty sure that
head
now
of the
we do have
minority.
a two-party system after this election because the NDP, I think, lost official party status.
But yeah, but they'll come back.
Yeah, they'll come
probably.
back.
But
They'll come
yes,
back.
For all intents and purposes, we have a two-party system now because the
Yes.
NDP lost so bad.
Yes.
But Pierre Poilievre is this kind of like weird, fake, like politician conservative. So like kind of the
Yes.
real folk, even people, and I don't think that there's any reason you should vote conservative. But a lot of people in Canada who vote conservative are from like Alberta.
Yes.
And are oil people. And
It's
they want
almost
oil
all
and farm.
oil.
It's oil and farm, and they want those industries to be, you know,
Protected.
Which
Which I do understand on a base level.
I agree. It's one of those things where I'm like, I obviously think we need to work to move away from using fossil fuels. There is no planet B, you know.
But you can't convince entire families
Yes.
to plummet themselves into poverty.
Yes. And if there's no alternative, right?
there's
Like
no
the real
alternative,
thing we need
for
to do
sure.
is figure out how to like get alternative energy to be the industry of these
Yes.
places.
And swap it
but
over.
instead it's just they're just, you know. So Pierre Poilievre was going to win, and he's just kind of like a smarmy, kind of elite conservative.
Yeah, he's a career
He
politician
fucking
who started
sucks.
like collecting his pension at age 32. Like he's ass.
Yeah, we hate him. He like the former head of the NDP who stepped down, Jagmeet Singh. He would always mispronounce his name. Like he just fucking sucks. We hate him.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Pierre Poilievre. So
Most
he was gonna win.
conservatives like don't like him also.
They just would like to vote conservative.
Yes.
Right. So then they're like, we don't even really like him, but we have to.
we just
vote for
don't
him.
want Trudeau
Enter Mark
in anymore.
Carney,
Yes.
who is he became the head of the Liberal Party.
Yes.
Ran for prime minister. He used to be the head of like, I don't know if it was the federal bank or whatever, but he did a lot of work in England during the recession.
Yeah,
in, like, the 2000s,
he was
right?
the head of the Bank of England. They brought him over to advise on Brexit. And like he is basically like the best finance guy arguably in the world.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
he has gone to like different banks to help them like recover from financial crisis.
Definitely. And he kind of abandoned it a little bit to get elected, which, hey, fair enough. But he was a big leader of getting all these financial institutions to commit to by like 2030 reducing their carbon footprint by XYZ. Like he was a big environmental guy. He has obviously walked that back to get elected because you can't get elected in fucking Canada unless you say that you want to destroy
You're
the
like,
planet.
you know, it'd be awesome if we had more oil pipelines.
And everyone's like, yeah.
I would like the oil pipelines to interconnect and hug each other.
That would be really beautiful.
I'd like to be able to give all the oil pipelines a big hug.
Yes. So then basically what happened is Carney got in. He's like an ideal candidate, especially at this time where he's basically socially fairly liberal, so fairly, but he's like he's a liberal that conservatives could feel okay voting for.
Well, because in a world where the Conservative Party was still the Conservative Party and hadn't been changed to this weird kind of like progressive populist party, like he could run as an excellent conservative candidate.
Yeah, because he is like a few years ago. Like if we're talking about when what's his name was the head of the NDP? No, not Harper. The guy
Jack Layton?
who's the guy after that? He was head of the NDP.
Oh,
nobody cares.
shit.
He was the one that he was like more popular. He was very popular, but I forget his name.
Okay.
But also Jack Layton. I think about all the time like where the NDP, which is our more like Labor Party adjacent kind of leftist party would be if Jack Layton didn't die. Which makes me really sad because I love him so much. Sad. Anyways, so Carney got in, Carney wins. Pierre Poilievre loses his seat because we don't have like an American system here. It's like we have the head of the party, but then people are they have to win like municipally. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they have to win their riding. It's like the British system. Yeah, so you have to like win your seats.
And then however many seats, if there's enough seats to be the majority party, then whatever the leader of the majority party is the prime minister.
Yes.
So they lost. Conservatives lost crazy. NDP also fucking lost.
The NDP really, and a lot of NDP ridings went conservative, which is crazy.
Yeah, which I believe.
Shout out to Quebec for literally electing the Liberals for us.
Yes.
My favorite country, sorry.
And we stand on guard for thee. I take back everything I've ever fucking said about Quebec.
Thank you,
I take
Carley.
back every bad thing I've said about Quebec because you know what? They showed up in their time of need.
They showed up. They said, tabernacle this bitch.
We
are not electing Poilievre.
So we will do what needs to be done.
We hate Canada so much.
But we hate Poilievre
more. So fuck this guy.
You know what? Y'all need to vote. If y'all want to vote, do another referendum, vote to leave.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Girl.
Love you, girl.
Girl, go ahead. The whole of rural Quebec going liberal is the funniest fucking map you've ever seen in your life.
You're like, oh, work.
They didn't even go bloc.
No.
Which is they always vote
they have
bloc.
So the Quebec has a special interest party called the Bloc Québécois, which is just a party basically just for Quebec interests.
Which is really
It's
awesome.
like if in America you just had a third party that's just called Texas party. And it's just
everyone in Texas
voted Texas.
And they vote for it enough that they have like a real standing in government.
Yeah, like there's like 5 or 6 Texas senators.
Yeah, and they're all just like,
and they're just like, right, I know we're trying to deal with these other economic problems, but I'm really concerned about what's happening in Texas.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about Texas, and I'd love to talk about Texas. And by the way, Texas has a different language.
And Texas wants to leave.
Yeah, Texas, first of all, doesn't want to be a part of the states. They have a different language. And not only do they have a different language, they have a special Texas way of speaking that language.
And
so if you learn that language, there's still really not a chance you'll be able to understand them.
No, and they're radicalized. Because they were treated as second-class citizens for so long. Because the government has failed them. Actually, kind of giving Texas.
It's kind of giving Texas, actually. And then at one point, a whole colony of Texas people were kicked out and had to move down south. And so now I guess there's a town that's very culturally similar to Texas in Mexico.
Where's that?
That's Acadia and New Orleans.
Ooh, I love that.
That's a bunch of Quebecers moved down, and that's why New Orleans is French.
And Texas used to be the biggest, Dallas, Texas used to be the biggest city in America.
Yes.
Dallas, Texas was New York.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. It was New York. That's where all the banks were. All of the entertainment was in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas.
And then Dallas, Texas terrorists kidnapped senators and tried to kill them and killed someone.
Yeah.
And then everybody moved from Texas to New York and LA because they were like, oh, the Texas terrorists that want to leave. Texas wants to leave and they want to secede. And because of that.
Yeah. Except it's not they moved to New York and LA. It's that they were in Dallas and there's no New York and LA. So they moved to Seattle.
And they decided Seattle
and Boston.
Yeah.
They're like, Seattle and Boston are going to be our big cities now.
And that's Canadian
and that's
heritage.
Canada for you.
We will do an FLQ, Quebec history, eventually.
I
think we really do need somebody who is Quebec to come on if we're going to do a couple episodes on it. We need somebody to give perspective.
Christina, my girlfriend, is from Quebec.
But she's got a real job. Can she be on this crazy podcast?
She can't actually be on this podcast.
I feel like a lot of places.
But she can sit in the background and go uncredited and shout out corrections.
Great.
Yeah, so we can get Reese on to talk about it and then Christina on to moderate.
And then they fight.
And then they will fight. And they will fight.
Oh, yeah.
But just about Quebec. I don't think about anything else.
No, I don't think so either.
Because I also feel like Winnipeg... Anyway, we should move on. I was in Quebec last weekend.
Yes, for Sketchfest.
For Montreal Sketchfest. Very fun. Shout out Montreal Sketchfest. And I had like 4 in a row of the worst customer service experiences I've ever had in my life.
And that's that Quebec charm, baby.
And it's Quebec charm. It's amazing. But truly, because I can't remember what episode it was, but at one point... we were kind of having an argument about Quebec because you were like, it takes 17 minutes to get a coffee. crazy.
Yes. And here's where I've landed on Quebec, I will say, because I was reading a lot about it because I was writing a character that was a Quebec separatist. So I was like, I've got to read about this.
That's really cool. Can't wait to see how that manifests.
Yeah, that's going to really pop. I'm sure that my New York agents are going to love that. They're going to read that character and go, we understand this. And we think it's really going to sell.
Okay, Infinite Jest.
They had Quebec separatists in it?
Oh yeah, like the main. It's all about the FLQ. They're all members of the FLQ.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Infinite Jest. Yeah. Oh
that's
my god,
fucking awesome.
Just say you're doing an Infinite Jest. Say they did this in Infinite Jest.
Guys, before you read this, I need you to know that this is the new Infinite Jest.
Yeah.
I stand by that.
I just need 900 more pages.
I am David Foster Wallace.
Yes, I'm gonna
kill myself.
I'm gonna kill myself.
I'm gonna be an amazing writer, deeply depressed.
Very misogynistic.
Big old bandana on my head.
And then kill myself.
Honestly, hey,
shout out.
I could do worse.
Hey, you know what?
Anyway,
pretty good book. Pretty good book.
Where I land on Quebec after reading about the kind of actual cultural context of the separatist movement is it's a little bit it's Irish adjacent. So now I'm with the struggle.
Okay, great.
I'm with them. Does that change the fact that every single time I go there, a waiter screams at me as if I'm the problem? No, and like
that's culture.
I remember
because you are the problem. If you are in Quebec, you are the problem. They don't want you there.
They don't want you there. It's like France on crack. Like I remember. I had a friend who's like she speaks French, but I believe where is she from? Her dad is Haitian, but she speaks French, but she speaks like African colonial French.
Okay.
Because her ancestors were colonized by the French. Hey.
Ayo.
And she was like, whenever I go to Paris, people always end up talking because they're like, where are you from? And I'm always like, I'm Canadian. And then they're always like, but you don't speak Canadian French. Like you speak good French. Yeah. And then
I can understand you when that feels wrong.
Yes. And then people in France are always like, I know people say we're rude. Whenever I go to Quebec, I'm like, oh my God.
This is actually crazy. No, I was at a restaurant. And so first of all, I went with Jack and Jess and Brendan.
Yes.
So we were a little crew, a little double date the whole weekend. Beautiful.
Yes. And Sachin was there too?
And Sachin was there. He wasn't at this breakfast though. So we went to this one breakfast and Jack is like, this is my favorite place. I go here every time I'm in Montreal. And we proceed to get seated, ignored for 20 minutes. So we're seated for 20 minutes at this restaurant that Jack supposedly goes to every time.
Loves.
And I go in eventually and I'm like, hey, do we have to order on our phones? Like, I've been here for a while. And she goes like, you have to let someone seat you. Did someone seat you? Because if you didn't seat, you can't just sit down. And I was like, no, we got seated. We just need help. And then later on, one of the waitresses yells at a man because he says like, oh, I can't have ham on this. And she yells at him. Like, you realize I have to throw this out? You realize I have to throw this out? And she's like on the verge of tears, like fighting this fight. She's like, girl, just take the ham off.
The service workers of Quebec are really feeling the generational trauma on their shoulders.
Really icons. But it was stunning.
Did you eventually get seated? I mean,
we eventually got our food. It took forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was honestly crazy. But you know what? Rock on Quebec.
We love you.
I love you, Quebec. And
it's almost your birthday.
You're almost 30. I know, I'm almost 30. There it is. I'm done with my 20s, which is very weird.
Yeah.
I'm doing
but good riddance.
I always get very reflective on my birthday. And because this is the first time famously since I turned 20s that I'm entering a new decade, I'm getting...
And yes, I actually wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah. You wouldn't have thought of it, but that's true. I'm like really reflecting on like the past decade.
And a decade of true adulthood. Like
true adulthood. Start to finish.
The earlier decades, you are a child. This is like an adult decade.
100%. Well, I'm doing the artist's way.
Yes.
Fun fact.
Which obsessed. And did we do it because Dochi did it?
Maybe.
Did we see that Dochi maybe did the artist's way?
I'm not saying. Hey, that's a personal question. It's none of your business. Okay, so I'm doing the artist's way and someone told me probably I also was doing it and I saw it, whatever. I know it's a fucking book.
Yeah.
I knew it was a book.
So how's that going?
But it makes you divide your life for one of the activities for like 5 years and name the like major influences.
Crazy.
And I was like, I've been an adult for like a long time now.
Yeah.
Like it really is like 20 to 29. And you know what? I've done everything. I feel like that's why I'm not spinning out. I've really done everything I could have in my 20s.
This is how I feel too. Like, I also feel like I was a kid, and we've talked about this a bit, like both being kind of like mature kids. Like, I was a kid that really wanted to be an adult.
Yes.
I was never like, oh my God, I've lost my childhood's slipping away. Like, I was like, I want to be an adult. So every single year, like, is better than the last. Like, yes, there are struggles. There are things that, you know, have to happen. And hey, 24, that was a tough one.
24 is tough. 24 is tough.
24 was tough. But outside of fucking 24, which is a hell year, and every single person that was like 24 is rough, they're like, 24 is rough.
24 is rough.
But every single year, I'm like, oh, great. Like, I wanted to be an adult.
Yeah, this sounds great.
And I really feel like, I always think of like, I've been reading this like book about the UCB, the Upright Citizens Brigade, the improv theater, just like about the history of it and its effect on comedy and stuff. Because that's how improv pilled I am.
Yeah.
And I think what we should do for the Patreon,
history of UCB.
Yes, no, we should at one of our improv shows, like for Mrs. Beast or whatever, we should do a scene together. And then get the footage, and then do a play-by-play on the Patreon.
Oh my God, of what we're thinking?
Yeah.
You're going to be doing like improv strategy, and I'm going to be like,
I don't know.
At this point, my thoughts left my brain, and I remembered that I left laundry in the dryer. And at this point, I was bringing back game number 2.
Yeah. I was remembering here that it's important to hit beat 2 before we go into beat 3.
Whereas I'm just like, and I'm remembering my foot just started hurting, and I don't know why. Now I think I have foot cancer like Bob Marley, and I'm thinking about Bob Marley dying as foot cancer.
Yeah. No, because in our most recent Miss Mrs. show, that's a show we do once a month, and it's our improv troupe and another improv troupe that like Reese is in and other people in the city are in. And you guys were everybody was basically gone. It was like, it was usually an 8-person troupe. It was 4 of us. Huge. And I was looking around the room. It was a great group of people. It was Tim, Gazelle, Malik.
Yes.
But I was like, I have to be crazy.
Yeah.
Like we all now have to be funny. Because we don't have the people that are basically just like lightning in a bottle that you're like, they'll say funny shit and then we can just make it make sense.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is hard work. Like, you say some stuff, and I did say some stuff that like truly fucking killed, but then I would say stuff that played to fucking silence. And I was like, this is how y'all perform every show?
Yeah, you're just kind of shooting at a dartboard.
Hugest swings. And you just have to sit with silence?
Just taking this massive swing at an incest joke.
And everyone hates it?
Well, this is like when Brendan and I were in Montreal, we had like, usually Montreal, they have like a pretty like edgy crowd kind of thing.
Definitely.
And we had this bit where for our opening, we were going to get like a suggestion, and then we just had a sound bite that says, "You're gay."
Oh, yeah.
Play like loud.
Fun.
And the girl we picked to do that to, was not having it. She was not happy with the homophobia. She was unhappy. And then we picked someone else, asked them a question, and then we go back to her and say, like, again, let's get your suggestion. And then this like the clip that says gay, gay, gay. It's so stupid. And she just sat there looking so mad. And then when it ended, she went, "Guess you don't want to hear my suggestions."
Oh my God.
You're like, girl, play along.
Aren't you in Montreal?
Aren't you in Montreal? Oui, tabernacle, bitch.
Laugh.
Shut up, laugh. Écoute, joyeux.
There.
And that's home French.
But I think we should do that. I think it'd be funny.
Yeah,
all that's to say is I feel like so many women comedians age really well. Like they look way better the older that they get.
Yes.
Like they just fucking look great. I feel like even Tina Fey and Amy Poehler now like look so fucking good.
I know, they look amazing.
They look really, really good.
So I'm like, because they have good souls.
Definitely. And I think like also looking weird ages you better than looking. No, it's like why like a lot of the really, really cute kid actors kind of look like weird adults.
Oh my God, what's his name from The Sixth Sense? Hayden.
Oh yeah,
he's Emily
Haley Joel
Osment.
Yeah,
I love
because what makes you look a really cute kid does not make you look like a normal adult.
No,
and I feel like what makes you look a little weird at like in your 20s, means that you will age into looking good.
I found out recently that my friend's mom, who like famously hates fat people, thinks I'm really beautiful, and that was huge for me.
What, she famously hates fat people?
Yeah, she does not like fat people, and she thinks I'm beautiful.
Wow.
And she loves me. So
you're changing minds.
I really am actually fighting a battle that no one else is.
You're really doing actual work on the ground.
So thank you.
Yeah.
I won't say her name.
We always talk about that one time. We recorded that one episode for the Beatles at your computer, and we were really close to the camera.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, Blair, you are so beautiful.
I was like, thank you.
Because
like,
they've seen
Carley,
your
you rat bitch. It's like, damn, you guys are way more comfortable with Carley than with me.
Yeah, but like they shouldn't be.
Yeah. I think we passed it now, but there was like
There was a real period
when the
where everyone
podcast
was
kind of taking off, where it was like, Blair, you're so smart. I want to be like you when you grew up. You have beautiful hair and a beautiful face and a beautiful mind. And then it would be like, Carley, fucking Lord Dog bitch of the dog bitch.
flat ass girl,
crazy psycho bitch. You should lock yourself up.
It was
like,
always
okay.
and every single comment was being like, Blair, you just have such an ethereal vibe about you.
Yeah, like Blair, you're really like, I want to know how your mind works.
Carley, shut the fuck up.
Carley, shut up, rat bitch.
It was a lot of that, and I understand that it's coming from a place.
Oh no,
of
it's because they love you and they don't know me.
but they're warming up.
But it was crazy for a while.
There was a tone. There was a real tone for a moment.
Yeah, I think we're past it now a little bit, but there was a tone that it was like, okay, this is getting slightly out of hand.
Yeah, I feel like the listenership as it like grows, it becomes its own thing. So there's like a lot of people who listen to the podcast that just listen to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So they like know you exactly the same as they know me.
I'll say.
Is there anything else we have to talk about before we? We went to the Apple Podcast event. We went to Apple Canada. Apple Podcast Canada had like a mixer.
Oh yeah, we had a mixer. We went to the mixer.
Yeah, we did a business mixer meeting.
I think we were expecting the brunch to be better.
Yeah, they and let me say this, Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for inviting us.
Oh no, thank you for having us.
When you
more quiche.
Yeah. When you say it, and when you make an event and you send an invitation and you say like, oh, it's a brunch, I'm picturing I'm sitting down.
Yeah,
and eating
there's
a meal.
eggs.
There's eggs. I was like, I went on a journey. I was fully like, there's gonna be a make your own waffle station. Like I was like,
you texted me that actually.
Yes, I was like, there's going to be like when you're on a
make your own waffle.
When you're in like a inclusive, like an all inclusive.
Yeah,
and there's
or
like there's like
restaurant.
an omelet station.
Yes,
I was
Wanted
really
that for
like it's gonna be
waffles.
like a breakfast buffet.
Yeah,
and it was really more of a fruit platter, some quiches, some muffins. They were good.
the quiches were by far the best part.
The quiches were amazing.
But there was about 30 for 50 people.
And we showed up 50 minutes late, and everybody else had obviously decided not to eat until the speech was over. And we both had not had coffee and had not really eaten because we were preparing for the brunch.
Yeah.
So then we showed up 50 minutes late in the middle of a presentation about how to use the Apple Podcast app.
Which is,
girl, we
respectfully, it's fine.
We do know. But, so, and then we just simply ate 15 quiches.
Yeah, we ate most of the quiches.
Ate most of the quiche. And that's really the girl historian's way. You show up 15 minutes late.
And you eat all the quiche.
Raid the buffet.
Yeah, just raid the quiche.
So there's
and
nothing good for everybody. And the
I had a
was
really
so good.
I had a nice scone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy
I think
with
it was
the scone.
catered by Danielle, which is a really, really good kind of cafe catering.
I respect that.
They're really, really good.
I respect that. You know,
I like them a
I
lot.
was happy overall.
And when I saw that, I was like, that makes sense. Because I'm not usually a quiche person. But those were really, really good.
Yeah. I love a baked egg. But it takes so much time. Baked eggs take so much longer than you think they're going to be.
Oh, yeah. I had to make, when I worked at a bakery in high school, I was just making quiches. And that's why I don't like quiches. Yeah. Because I had to make
that's
them.
rough.
But I also like a mini quiche. Like I think a mini quiche is better, which these were.
Yes, mini quiche is
because
delicious.
then you get a better like dispersion of egg, cheese, or whatever.
Yes, it's a better bite.
Topping and crust. Where it's like but the huge quiche, there's a lot of egg. It's just a lot of egg.
So much
mini
egg.
quiche is such a good. It's a better version of that.
Yeah. One day when I was on set last month, they had like a build your own like Sunday or something.
Fucking huge. This is what I was expecting. This is what I was rolling up to the event thinking there was going to be.
Honestly, the craft at this project, which I feel like is now, I don't know if I can say what it was. I'm going to wait a little bit, but I think I can probably say it soon.
Definitely.
People be posting about it.
I liked when somebody was like, I'm going through Blair's IMDb.
Get off of there. Get off.
I like that. I also like when we immediately after I said that there's no hawks in downtown Toronto, got simply seven comments being like, I live, and then they would say an intersection that was close to my house, which I don't care for.
Yeah.
And I know you didn't mean it. I know you were just guessing, but I don't care for that.
Not even that. That's where you saw the hawk, which is where you saw the hawk as well.
Yeah.
No,
so the hawk was
crazy.
real.
The hawk was real, and you spread fake news.
I didn't think it was real.
Yeah. No,
anyways,
the hawk is real.
You were on the craft for this project was good.
It rocked. It was
I
like a
love craft.
buffet at every lunch, and then one day they had like a make your own crepe or whatever. And I just
Oh
ate. I
my
got the blueberry
God.
pie filling, and I just ate that.
Oh my God.
Because like, God, I love the fucking blueberry pie filling. I don't care for the crust. I just want the filling.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, it was good.
I love crepes, and I can't make a crepe. Like I don't have the
it's
skills to
too
make
thin.
a crepe at home. So,
you gotta have a lot of tools.
and I'm not gonna do that. That sounds so good. Ugh,
Yeah.
I want waffles. I want crepe.
Yeah,
We should do a big
it was good
breakfast
craft.
sometime.
We should do a big. I want to go to a breakfast buffet.
That's why I'm like, let's go to a breakfast. I will hit up a breakfast buffet with you.
I'm down. I kind of want to do. So here's so far what I have planned for my birthday.
Oh yes, it's your birthday.
I have a party on the Monday, the holiday Monday.
Yeah.
And then on my birthday right now, I think I'm gonna go to the spa in the afternoon.
Okay.
By myself, sit in silence for most of my birthday.
Really kind of
Perfect.
think about what you've done and what you hope to achieve.
Yeah. Run up a bill at a pizza place for my girlfriend to pay.
Great.
And then I think one of the days before, I want to do like a funny meal with just my girls.
And you want to go to? You're saying you want to go to Mandarin.
Yeah, but
which I
now
love.
that you're saying breakfast buffet,
Does Mandarin do breakfast?
they do, but like I feel like I should
like
just
a-
go to a breakfast buffet.
I would be so fucking into that.
with like all my unemployed girls.
Yeah, if you want, I can plan that.
I honestly,
I would
okay,
take
let's,
that on
let's,
for you.
Let's talk about it. 'Cause
Okay.
I know enough unemployed bitches. That
That's
would
what I'm
go
like.
to a-
My would go. It's like when Tyra had her hot pot birthday in the middle of the week. I was
And
like, this
everyone
is
showed up.
everything. Our friend Tyra, she had her birthday and she's like, I don't know if anyone's gonna come and I don't really want to like deal with it, so I'm just gonna have everyone come to hot pot, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
during the day in the middle of the week because everyone we know is like an actor or something. So
Yeah.
like they have jobs, but like it's not like a
Like, they're
traditional
not
9 to
real
5.
jobs.
Yes,
They're not real jobs.
It's like we're all kind of living. We're living like a bohemian lifestyle.
yeah. I'm a communications manager at a nonprofit.
Yeah, I love it when somebody's like, "Do you have to do work later?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta make a thumbnail."
Yeah. I got to make a reel of my podcast.
Exactly. It's life is fucking awesome. I'm so grateful every single day.
So grateful every day.
But she was like, no one's gonna show up to this hot pot thing, because like I'm done in the middle of the day, and simply 25 people descended upon a hot pot.
Oh yeah.
And I remember that because me and Emma, our friend Emma, who's gluten free, and me, who does not eat meat,
The worst possible meal for you guys to go to.
had a fucked up hot pot all to ourselves.
It's just water.
It was like
leaf.
yeah, it was crazy, and like it because we combined it to be like the dietary restriction pot. It was just like awful.
So
It
restricted.
was horrible. It was for eating disorders only. Like there was nothing to eat in it. It was
Yeah.
like free floating grass sprouts.
Oh no. Yeah, that's not. And sprouts. Okay, I'm kind of a sprout hater.
yeah, I'm
the only one
But
brave
I
enough
do remember when
to
they sang
say
her
it.
happy birthday. They had that crazy like
Oh, that was awesome.
it was on like a Beats pill.
yes.
It was like happy birthday to you.
and they brought out like
glowing
flashing signs and
and
hats
stuff.
and stuff. It
Oh
was
my
cool.
god, it was awesome.
That place, Hydalo,
Yeah, it's a hot pocket place on
Young
Street, just
it's
south
like
of
right near the
Dundas.
Eaton Center. If you're in Toronto,
wanna go
if
to
you
a
wanna
hot
do
pot.
pot,
it was good.
it was really good. I don't.
I mean,
like going
I didn't
to
have
the
a good
Eaton
time,
Center.
but like I mean I had a good time, but I didn't
You didn't eat.
if you don't eat meat, maybe.
I had a great time.
Yeah.
Personally,
But what is there
could've
for
stayed.
me at Hot Pot? Anyway, there's nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like Hot Pot because there's a make your own sauce station, and that's where I really shine. I think I can mix up a mean sauce.
All that's to say is we can definitely do a jobless breakfast buffet in the middle of the week.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe before Ben, like the day of Ben's album recording.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Remember when I had my birthday last year and everyone went to the island like on a Tuesday or whatever. Zach was like, "This is jobist." This is racist
That's
against
really
people with
funny.
real jobs. And I was like, well, yes.
Yeah. Well, yes. And yeah. And what do you want to say about it?
Yeah. For my birthday this year, I want to do a party of some kind.
Yeah.
I want to do a bigger party. I think I
I'll
might do
help you plan that.
might do a park moment or something. I liked what we
Yeah.
did before, like a couple years ago, where it was at a bar and then everyone just kind of ended up at the park or something like that.
Yeah. Into it.
We're
Okay,
seeing
let's-
dinosaur improv tonight,
Yeah,
guys. So we got to wrap this up.
Sometimes
Sometimes you just got to see a touring improv show with your girls.
No, that's how it goes.
Paul Shear.
We're gonna get down there.
Is Jason Mantzoukas in this?
I think so. I think
He's on Taskmaster.
Taskmaster.
Who's excited for the new season?
Wop wop.
Woo! Put your hands up.
Okay, let's take a little break and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes. Okay, so we are embarking on
Bark,
to the Kennedys. Okay, so before we start, I want to ask you, Carly, because this is what do you know like about the Kennedys?
I know a lot about the assassinations.
Okay,
When I was sick, I read all of the JFK assassination papers.
Okay, that's huge.
Didn't really offer any. I don't know if you guys are surprised by this, but like the government did not release any important documents to the public.
Shocking.
So I know a lot about that, and I do know from just listening to kind of some other podcasts and stuff. I know a bit about the brothers. Like I know a bit about like Joe, JFK, Bobby. Like I know a bit about them, and I know a lot about RFK. Not because I'm a fan, but because I was listening to Behind the Bastards did a 4-part series on the Kennedys, but basically about RFK.
That's so funny.
Jr. And it was really, really interesting. He's crazy. He's like nuts.
It's a crazy
So
person.
I know a lot about that, and but I don't know. There's like a couple of areas of like my there's a couple gaps.
Yeah, I came in knowing basically nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I knew a bit. Weirdly enough, I feel like the thing I knew about the most was Rosemary Kennedy's lobotomy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the hidden Kennedy sister who was
lobotomized. Yeah, and what a laugh out loud episode that's going to be, guys. So really look out for that one, because that's going to be giggles the whole time. It's not going to be
I'm not going to cry.
Openly crying.
It's not going to be open weeping.
It's just going to be like you're crying and then I have to be like,
yeah,
okay.
We'll do a soft one for that. Maybe we'll drink.
That would be good.
We need to drink more on this podcast.
Yeah.
Or do drugs. Maybe not drugs. Okay, so this episode is kind of like an introduction to the Kennedys and kind of like where they came from and context up until.
So we kind of understand the context of what we're going into like.
Yeah. Going into the Kennedys. And so we're going to
know Marilyn Monroe.
Oh yeah, the Kennedy and Marilyn. Happy birthday, Mr. President.
He deserves fucking jail time. I hate him. And you know, he got shot in the head, so so you know what? I actually think he received karma and he doesn't need anything else.
Yeah, he did get shot in the head in a big way.
Yeah, and maybe one of the biggest ways. In a way that ended the 60s.
It really did.
Yeah.
It really did. So, you know, Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones.
Of course.
When they were writing it, there's a line in that, I shouted out, who killed the Kennedys when after all, it was you and me. When they were writing it, the first version was like, who killed John Kennedy? And then before they went to record it, Bobby Kennedy was shot, and so they changed it to the Kennedys. Is that cool?
And I love Bobby. I mean, unless I find out some information on this that's really, really bad. But Bobby Kennedy, I really feel sad that he got shot in the head, point blank. Absolutely.
And the more I think about it, and the more I am sad about him getting shot in the head, point blank.
Yeah. That wasn't great.
Yeah, kind of a bummer.
But he was so like left, and I think he would have been a really good politician to have. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
But
I don't know really much about him, to be honest.
I just know, I mean, I know his assassination is kind of crazy because it is like a weird kind of cover up where like somebody, we'll get into it more. I don't want to do this information because I don't really have like, this is what I'm saying from my like memory.
Yes.
But what I remember is it's this kind of thing of like, he got shot point blank at some kind of dinner, or like a
crazy,
like a, not like a dinner, but like a gala, but not a gala. Some kind of, there's a name for it that rich people know.
Yeah. A luncheon.
But some people didn't see it. Some people saw somebody coming from a different direction. Some people saw a woman. Some people said he got shot in the back of the head, front head. Like, it's just such a weird, like,
yeah, that is
everyone
weird.
It's a different story. And obviously part of that is because of trauma. Like, that's just what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
the brain will fill it in.
The cops obviously did like a bad job on that one.
No way.
And hey, likely place for them to be.
Likely place for them to be doing a bad job at an assassination of a leftist politician.
Yeah.
Damn. And that's on that. So let's start with the Kennedys. So early beginnings. 1849.
That's pretty early.
We're going way back, kids. 1849, Patrick Kennedy leaves County Wexford in Ireland. Wexford, famously the name of my high school. Shout out Wexford. It's amidst the potato famine. So he runs away from famine and he moves to Boston. And he moves to the Irish slum in the north end of Boston. Mm-hmm. And it's not great.
What? The Irish slum? Isn't that great?
Yeah, so he's living there with his wife, whose name is Bridget Murphy, and 5 children. Catholic.
Yeah, that's that feeling when you're Catholic.
That feeling when you're Catholic. I think that's going to be that feeling when you're Catholic. We should say it anytime something is really Catholic
and it's going to happen a lot.
That feeling when you're Catholic, and you have 5 children living, and your wife is named
Bridget
Bridget
Murphy.
That feeling when you're Catholic.
Yeah.
So it was a rough life. The slum was obviously rough. So they had one son die of cholera, and then Patrick dies of tuberculosis at age 35.
Everything is tuberculosis.
Everything is tuberculosis. He's 35 years old. He dies. He widows his wife, Bridget Murphy,
Yikes.
with her 5 children.
4. Didn't one die of cholera?
No, I think there's 5 left over. after
Okay.
the one
Left
death.
over.
I'm sorry. That was terrible of me. I'm sorry. No, you know what? You are right. One died cholera.
Okay.
So one dies. So she's got 4 children. She's a
Still
widow.
a lot. Yeah.
Still a lot of kids. Not as many as later on.
Oh, yeah.
So she's a widow. She works really hard. She eventually purchases a stationery store.
Hell yeah.
And she just honestly...
Muji.
She
Her middle name
her name is Muji. Bridget Muji Murphy.
You might know her.
Bridget Muji Murphy.
I know that her name might sound Irish, but she's actually Japanese.
Japanese, yeah. You wouldn't think, but she
Bridget
is.
Muji Murphy.
Bridget Muji Murphy.
Purchases a stationery store.
She purchases a stationery
Decides
store.
to make the best pens known to man.
She's like a little savvy. She starts selling like alcohol and groceries. She basically expands her business, which is iconic. She could only afford to send one of her kids to school.
Yeah, that's not
obviously
great.
She picks the boy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, PJ. And I just wrote down PJ. Something I've done that's really
Patrick
interesting.
Jr.
Patrick, I think Patrick James, I think.
Really? Not Junior?
Or Patrick John. Patrick, I don't know. Anyway,
That
PJ.
feeling when you're Catholic.
Doesn't matter. That feeling when you're Catholic.
Any fucking person on the Catholic side of my family, it's like, oh, so you'll have 5 names. So you could be Michael, John, Patrick.
You're even getting I've got a Hugh.
Wow.
Hugh, Janet, Kathleen, David, Ian. We got so many Ians, so many Robs.
We have Michael, John. To separate them. Irene.
Yeah.
Patty.
I've got a Sheila.
Oh, Sheila. Yeah.
Also, all my dad's sisters are Mary, like Mary.
Yes,
Kathleen.
Mary. Yeah.
They're all
We have
Mary
Moira.
first. Oh, Moira. That's unique.
She's a PhD in theology, and she was a nun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
she
really
rocks.
cool, actually. You just trumped me.
I don't know if that's true.
Well,
I just gave you a random piece of fact. Give me any fact about anybody else in your family, and now we're back on the same.
So this is obviously the paternal side of the family. So right now we've got this guy coming over from Ireland, his son PJ. Okay,
Great.
He's going to school. He's
Peanut butter jelly time.
Peanut butter. He's like peanut butter jelly time.
Peanut butter jelly.
Peanut butter jelly.
That's
Peanut
what
butter
PJ
jelly.
stands
Peanut
for.
butter jelly. What were kids doing in school before reciting memes? I don't remember.
Yeah, there must have been an equivalent, like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
kid memes.
They were
you
like,
know?
I hit a really big ball with a stick today. Oh, ball
Huge.
stick,
Ball
ball
stick,
stick, ball
yeah.
stick.
Because I always think of, do you remember, did you ever have on your schoolyard, like, I love you, you love me, let's get
team
together
up
and kill Barney with a baseball
Small
bat and a
kick
2x4.
right. Oh, okay.
No more purple dinosaur. Like, there's just a kid thing of, you like Barney when you're little, and then you become, like, an elementary
You
schooler,
get
and you're like, I
violent
want to
against
kill Barney.
I remember
Because you want to be
that,
like, I'm
though.
not a baby.
Yes. I want to kill Barney, but it's never just like, oh, that's not for me anymore.
No,
It's
you
like,
want
I
to kill
them.
him. Well, my, like, nephew, everything is a gun. He's 4 years
no.
old, and there's just something about being a little. I don't know about being.
Yeah.
I'll say a little boy because that's the way that like society inherently genders you, right?
mhm.
And you're like, he'll like pick up a rock and be like, "I'm gonna shoot you."
It's like,
I'm
damn,
like, that's round. That's not even
crazy.
close to a gun.
Like-
and his parents are the most lib fucking NDP
Yeah.
leftist, like just like like.
It's just like, I've got
But
a
it's
gun.
in him anyway.
I want to buy a gun.
I'm gonna buy a
I'm
gun.
gonna buy a gun. No, I remember when I was in middle school, I wrote on Facebook Notes, throwback, a manifesto about wanting to kill the Jonas Brothers when I was in grade 7. It literally was just like,
Oh my god, you're the Unabomber.
I was the Unabomber for the Jonas Brothers.
What did you
Which was like-
say?
I was just like, they're gonna fucking die, and I'm gonna throw them in. I'm gonna kill them and drown them.
You were popular.
And then I was like, Tokyo Police Club. Are my favorite band.
oh my god, that's so funny.
I would not say I was popular.
No, I was joking because
Oh,
no
yeah,
girl
no,
that's
no.
writing a manifesto about killing the
Yeah.
Jonas Brothers and then saying, but Tokyo Police Club.
Yeah. And I was like, I think I probably could have given myself a bit of leeway there to listen to a couple of Jonas Brothers songs.
Well, you turned out being correct.
I really wanted to be contrarian.
Because Kevin is, I feel like Kevin has voted for Trump. I have no information on that, and this is how fake news. This is how fake news gets started. But based on vibes alone,
and Kevin Jonas voted for Trump, actually.
and that's a fact, and you guys can report that at any of the news sources that you belong to.
I just remember Kevin Jonas doing sorry, continue.
No, you go.
I was just when he did an interview after getting married, because they stay virgins until marriage.
Yeah, but
him
not
and his
all
wife.
of them. Yeah, but him and his wife.
Yeah, him
but
and
the
his
other-
wife. And then he did this interview that was just like, and I thought it would be better. I thought it'd be like,
Well, yes.
like, can't believe I waited all that time for that. It's like, yeah,
Because you're also
girl.
not good. Like you just, it's like having
No.
your first time, but instead of that, you're like 30.
yeah. It's like trying to shove a like wet tablecloth into a bathroom faucet. Like
It's not.
it's not.
What an evocative image, Blair.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was gonna say something way worse. and
Did
then
you
I
know that
didn't.
Joe Jonas was playing pool at the Winona
Yes, I did know this.
when fucking Disaster Show was happening?
Yes,
So there's a show that's like the most alt of alt comedy, and Joe Jonas, I guess, was just in Toronto for some reason.
Yeah.
Playing pool while it was happening, and seems to be bad. Like he seems like he was trying to kind of kidnap his kids vibes. And Nick Jonas is absolutely destroying the last 5 years on Broadway. But
Vibes.
also, in his defense, who the fuck thought that he'd be able to sing the Jamie part in the last 5 years?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, first you get Norbert Leo Butz, and if you can't get him, you get Jeremy Jordan, and if you can't get him, you obviously get fucking Nick Jonas.
Yeah.
Like,
he's
any-
like third.
It's such a hard role to sing.
Well, remember when he was Marius in Les Mis?
Yeah.
I guess that was better.
That is better. I think there's way less singing in that. Like, you just have to sing basically 15 songs straight.
My friends, don't ask me what your sacrifice was for.
But he was good as Marius, I feel like.
Yeah,
But he's not very good
I'm
in the last
so
5
out
years.
of tune in the last 5 years. I'm going to be honest.
Well, you got to watch. I have my favorite YouTube channel is called Mickey Joe Theater.
Huge.
And it's this little British man, and he reviews theater, and he like reviews it as if he is like Michael Riedel, like he is the New York Post
Yeah.
theater reviewer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm obsessed with him.
Okay, I'm gonna look.
I'm
this
obsessed
up.
with him. He's insane, but like he really gives you know what I mean. Like it's never boring.
Well, because Jason Robert Brown does have a fun thing where like it's like he's never heard a woman's voice before, and
he
just
doesn't need to,
writes
just
for a
imagine.
flute,
Yes.
where it's just like we can do better. We can do better than that. Option up.
Yeah, but
And you
but if
have to
can-
option up.
But if you can, why would you not?
If you can, why wouldn't you? Actually, kind of, it's like you're not even trying.
Well, what I learned about that was like that the last 5 years. So that's a musical, and it's told basically out of order, like between his perspective and her perspective. It's
For the last 5 years.
The last 5 years of a relationship. So she starts at the. No, he starts at the beginning. She starts at the end. So you see that they've broken up. He starts at the beginning of like when they first got together, and then they go through and they switch. Then by the end, he's at the end and she's at the beginning. And it's about it's about Jason Robert Brown's real divorce.
Crazy.
And he got sued by his ex-wife because in the divorce settlement, one of the things that he had to agree to was not to write about their divorce.
So fucking
And I was
funny.
like, there's one rule. You have one fucking rule.
Also, I feel like you risk that when you're dating an artist. No
definitely.
offense, especially if you're marrying one.
But I mean, the
Come
whole
on.
thing with like, if you watch the last 5 years, and obviously probably not a fully fair portrayal of her, but the whole issue is that he was like a writer who was gaining success because he wrote like Parade or whatever, and then in the last 5 years he's like a novelist. But it's the same thing of being like, this relationship starts at the same place. They're not necessarily well suited for each other, but whatever. And then she's trying to be an actress, and he's a writer, and he gets a big break early on, and how that like in success weighs on their relationship.
Yes.
I mean, in spoiler alert, like in her defense, like he does mad cheat on her. There's like a
Damn.
song where he's like, they get married, and he's like, it sucks because once everybody tells you when you get married, every single woman in the world wants to sleep with you. But that's not true. It's just the kind of women that you've wanted to sleep with, but never gave you the time of day until now. It's like being like, it's very like,
Girl, okay.
it's very strange,
Yeah.
but great musical. Nick Jonas is bad in it. The
What's
Kennedys.
his big song in that?
Nick Jonas?
No.
Oh,
well, yes.
Moving Too Fast.
Oh yeah.
And then there's also If I Didn't Believe in You,
Oh yes.
I
Okay.
wouldn't be here right now.
Because I do. I can do better than that. Is a bop. Where was I? Okay. So on the other side of the family, on the mother's side, there's the Fitzgeralds. Okay.
Ooh.
That's the other side. So to contextualize this, JFK's father is a Kennedy. His mother is a Fitzgerald. Okay. Because he's JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Okay.
That's easy to remember. That's how I remember it. So on that side of the family, they also have like a very similar kind of like coming over from the famine thing. They like originally settle in farmland, and then they're like, actually, we can't make any money here. So they end up going into the same North Boston Irish slum. And I'm sure you guys all know what a slum is, but like when we're saying that, it's really, really.
It's an actual slum.
It's an actual slum. Like it, and I feel like we should maybe preface this with saying words like slum and ghetto, which like probably won't really come up much after this episode, but like we're talking about it like in the way
We're
that
not
these
using
were
it
designated.
Yes, we're not
slums and
using it
ghetto.
as this like kind of facetious term. It's like we're using it in the true meaning of it, which is like a segregated, very poorly kept neighborhood for like a certain ethnic group generally.
Exactly. So it was dreary, kind of like a hard life. A lot of immigrants who like just escaped famine. And a lot of these people, like their one kind of relief was the church, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of Catholic stuff. And Boston at this time is filled with like a lot of Protestants who have been there for a long time, who, you know, own the land, own the business, stuff like that. So like being Irish Catholic at this time, like you were very much an outsider.
Definitely.
And lived in a literal slum called the Irish slum. So a lot of like families, like particularly the Fitzgeralds and the Kennedys, for all intents and purposes, the Kennedys, they really wanted to like shed this Irish identity later on and like just be known as American.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't really like, this wasn't like prideful, but they were prideful in being Catholic, but not Irish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Like they wanted to be true Americans. So
It's Obama running for president.
it's Obama.
It's like Obama running for president, where he had to be like, I'm just like you guys.
I'm just like you guys. Don't even think about it. So now we're on to PJ Kennedy. So PJ is the son who goes Papa John's.
Yeah.
Kennedy, who is the son of
He goes to school.
He goes to school. He's the son of Bridget Muji Murphy.
Yep.
And he's the one who goes to school. And at age 14, he goes to work on the docks.
Okay.
And his
great.
mother's like, you got to be careful with your money. You got to save it all up. So he saves like every penny other than like what he's using to like support his mother and his sister. And in his 20s, he manages to purchase a saloon.
Okay.
And then he purchases like another saloon. And then he eventually purchases another saloon. But this one is inside like a really swanky hotel. Okay?
Oh.
So he's by age 30 running like this whiskey importing business and all these saloons and stuff.
What time is this? It's like, has Prohibition happened?
No, this is still
1800s.
1800s.
Okay.
Like,
Got it.
yes. Yes, this is still 1800s.
Yeah.
So he's running this whiskey business. He's got
Whiskey business.
whiskey business. He marries a girl named Mary Augusta Hickey, and they
Hell yeah,
purchase
brother.
a home in like a nicer part of town. So he's like kind of moving up.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we're gonna middle class it a little bit now.
Yeah.
Moving on up is what I wrote. They have one song.
They have one song that they sing every night.
They have one son and 3 daughters. This son is, as you might have guessed, JFK's father.
Yeah.
So he is the patriarch of the main Kennedy family.
his name?
Joe.
Yeah.
And for we're gonna call him Joe Senior because there's a Joe Junior who's the
Well, you know, there's only 7 names you can use.
there are only the names in this are gonna be a bit confusing because JFK is known both as John and Jack.
Yep.
So which makes sense.
This is like Wuthering Heights.
It's so fucking confusing,
Yeah.
dude. And it's all the same name.
So Joe Senior is their
Joe Senior
son.
is this son. So PJ, he's a well-liked dude. He's like a real bar type man, real drinker.
Yeah.
He gets along with like the rich and the poor. He gets along with the Protestants and the Catholics. Like all around people are like, he's just like well-liked.
He's a guy that they all like. Yeah.
Yeah. And he gets elected to the state Senate. And he's like this big Boston politician kind of thing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and this could also be hearsay. Like this could be like maybe wrong, but weren't there kind of rumblings of ties to the mob?
Yes. So this is kind of I didn't want to get into it really.
We don't have
yet.
to. We don't. We can just be like he
No,
does.
but I
there's,
think
there's alleged ties to the mob.
Yes,
at this point, which also makes sense because if you're running like at this point in time, like if you're running not speakeasies because they're not speakeasies yet, but if you're running saloons or whatever at this time,
you have ties to the mob.
you just just to be safe.
Well, it's also like
It's like just to be like the mob is around.
You're importing whiskey from Ireland on the cheap.
Yeah.
Like, there's ties to this mob kind of tie thing really
It's
is
not like Al
pervasive
Capone.
through
Like
the
it's
story.
just a thing. Like there are people who do have ties to the mob in a more kind of serious crime way, but a lot of people just have ties to the mob of being like, whatever they do, they do. It's none of my business.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I just kind of benefit from it.
Yeah, I just get cheap imports because of it. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, that is a rumor that I imagine, will be investigating through this series. So PJ dies of liver disease.
Hell yeah,
at
brother.
71.
At least he died doing what he loved.
Drinking.
Yes.
And there was like a massive funeral in Boston that like hundreds of people attended.
I want that.
I know.
I want people to really show up to my funeral,
Really
guys.
show
So
up
if
to my
you're hearing
funeral.
this and I die
Show up.
later, show up.
We're counting on you.
We're counting on
We're counting on you. So now we move on to Joe Kennedy.
Great.
He's PJ's only son.
Senior.
Joe Kennedy Sr. He goes to Harvard. Okay. So PJ and his wife like work pretty hard to get them like solidly middle class.
Yes. I remember hearing a story because there was a big thing of being like PJ couldn't get higher than the state senate.
Yes.
He wanted to become have more political capital. But as you recall, he's Irish.
Yes.
So there's only so far you can fly.
Yes.
So I remember a big thing, like there was a lot of, and we see this a lot, like in the Kennedy lore, is that there's every single man is raised with an incredible pressure, basically to continue the family name, to continue the family's search for power. I assume we'll talk about Babylon later, but there becomes this pervasive idea of like this Kennedy Babylon paradise where finally they break into politics and create this kind of great world. This
Utopia.
And that's also like not regency is the wrong word, but like
but it is like a dynasty.
Dynasty is
Like
the
it
word
is.
that I'm
It is
looking
like
for.
a royal family in the American
And
sense.
that really starts with like PJ. It seems to
Absolutely.
see, right? Like he wants, because he's the one that starts social climbing, moving on up. He's like, we continue. And one of the things I remember reading about was that Joe Sr. Started making money. He wasn't that good of a baseball player when he was a kid, but he became the manager of the baseball team.
Yeah.
And like that, I feel like shows you, it's like being like, well, because they were very much like, well, why would you do something that you're not good at?
Yeah.
You do something to be the best at it. And if you're not the best at it, then you find a different way
To be in charge of
to
it.
be in charge of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Very
that's-
much the Kennedy mindset.
Yeah.
And
So
you
if
see it throughout.
You have Joe Sr. here. It's like there's so much pressure on him to achieve to this great. And
Yes.
there's no trauma there. I'm sure that's actually going to pan out really well.
It's
with the
actually
family.
normal. It's normal.
And
that
these
way.
girls are raised basically to facilitate this. It's this idea of like your job here is to facilitate, to help these men achieve greatness, because a win for them is a win for the family.
Yeah. And so
He goes to Harvard.
there's also a big kind of pressure, and this comes up later, of like marrying well.
Yeah, of course.
Because again,
That's how you move your station.
yeah. And this is like, you start to see like the new money and the old money divides. And like we'll see like, the Kennedys really want to be old money.
Of course.
So he goes to
invent Babylon if you're fine with being new money. Like you're like, no.
you're in the tech bubble. It's like fucking .com.
Exactly.
So Joe Kennedy Sr., he goes to Harvard. He marries Rose Fitzgerald. And they buy a house in Brookline, which is a nice suburb in Boston.
Great.
So Rose Fitzgerald, the Kennedy siblings' mother, she's the mayor's daughter. So this guy is the mayor. He's John Fitzgerald. He's colloquially. Anyway, he's commonly known as Honey Fitz.
Okay.
Later the name of the odd, but don't think about that now. So she's that's not part right now. That's not part right now. That's too far ahead. So she's the mayor's daughter. So Honey Fitz is like super well known, obviously has a really big influence on the Kennedy siblings because he's just like around more.
Definitely.
He ends up working in politics. He lobbies at one point to build a huge public park in the Boston Irish ghetto, and he wins the proposal to get this built over a bunch of other proposals from like richer neighborhoods, which is actually really impressive.
Honey Fitz.
He was he was pro-immigration. Like this guy was like quite progressive.
The Kennedys themselves are generally quite progressive. Like,
I think that the progressive
for
stuff
the
kind of
time,
comes. Yeah, 100%.
This is a Honey Fitz kind of influence coming in here,
Yes.
being like, you can win and you can accumulate power through being this progressive, more on the left liberal dynasty.
Yeah, prominent politician.
Great.
This is like a good marriage. When Rose Fitzgerald initially kind of starts saddling up with Joe Kennedy, he's like pretty against it, and like at one point sends her away to like a convent. But then she comes back and she's like, haha, I'm still here, gonna marry this guy.
Yeah.
He thinks that they're trying to social climb, which to be fair, they are.
Like they are.
Yeah. Also, there's the story that, so a lot of the research that I one of the big things I'm using for research is this podcast called Blood and Business, which is really interesting. They did a great series on the ketamine.
They did a great series on ketamine.
Honestly, way more in depth than we're going to be going.
Yeah.
But they said this thing that said Honey Fitz, when Joe was born, the first child.
Joe Jr.?
Yeah, when Joe Jr. was born. He says something like the son that's like one of them is going to be named after me and he's going to be president. And then they didn't end up naming the firstborn after him, but they named the secondborn after him, which was John Fitzgerald Kennedy, JFK, and then he was president. So he kind of like weirdly predicted
there's
it.
Joe, there's John, then there's Bobby.
Yes.
Great.
Those are the men.
And don't worry, things are going to get pretty crazy in
Things
the
are
World
going to
War.
get pretty crazy in the World War. I know. I honestly was going to go over the World Wars in this episode, and then I was like, I actually can't.
It's so
we'll be here
crazy.
for hours. It's
so
insane.
yeah.
So it's guys, not good.
No.
so we're going into the World Wars like a tiny bit. So he also, I just put this in because I thought it was fun and I really want us to try it tonight because we're going to a social event. He's said to have perfected the Irish switch, which is when you're chatting with one person, you're shaking hands with another, and then you're smiling and winking at someone from across the room.
Oh, okay. We'll do that tonight.
Yeah, I think
so. You're talking to someone and you're shaking someone else's hand,
and then someone else comes up to you and you're like, "Hey, oh yes, of course, my friend John." Like, and by the way, like that, and to
I've been there. I've
done that.
Yeah,
I think we've both.
But I haven't perfected it.
I haven't perfected it. It's clunky.
Yeah, it's a clunky Irish
switch. So we have to perfect it. So Joe Sr., back to him, he's now married to Rose Fitzgerald. He's an investor and he makes a ton of money in his 20s. Also, there's basically when he graduates Harvard, he really wants to work in the banks for no other reason than being like, oh, this is how you get like
money.
And then basically like struggles to get hired and then goes to his dad and his dad makes him like this different kind of banker. So he's like, he makes a ton of money, but his dad makes sure of it. All that to say. During World War I, he becomes friends with FDR because they're both like doing the same job during World War I.
Yeah.
Who's Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who's a president.
We don't have time. We don't have time.
No. And afterwards, he buys a bunch of struggling Hollywood studios and consolidated them. So he makes a bunch of money and he also is just like buying up, making like real estate flips and deals and stuff like that. Like he is like a skilled financial guy.
Yeah.
The Mark Carney of the era, if you would. But he's more like stock market vibes. While he's living in California, buying these Hollywood studios, he has a 3-year relationship with Gloria Swanson.
Love that.
And Rose Fitzgerald tries to leave the marriage and at one point goes and lives with her dad again. And then her dad says, go back to where you came from and sends her back to her husband, who she did fight to marry. So, he's got a bit of a point.
This is very like, so the new Emily Henry book is kind of about like these two writers fighting to write like a biography of this like tabloid princess from this cursed famous family.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, and now I'm listening and I'm like, oh, so they're the Kennedys.
The Kennedys.
Oh, they're the Kennedys. Yeah. Okay. They're the Kennedys.
That's like how in Bridgerton, the Bridgertons are modeled after the Kennedys.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
was
funny.
a real, yeah.
And then once you see it, you're like, oh, the Kennedys.
Oh, the Kennedys.
Yeah.
Oh.
Colin is so Bobby coded.
Colin is so Bobby. He actually is.
Yeah.
So we'll get more into their marriage later when we're talking about the kids, but like it's fairly unhappy, but she's super devout. And he is running around just like cheating on her kind of thing.
Yeah, also not to be, first of all, wonder where JFK gets it from.
Yes.
Second of all, I always am and I'm sure that these marriages did exist, but whenever I hear about marriage from the past, I'm always just like, there's no such thing as a happy marriage for a woman in the past. Like, there's just simply no options for you.
It's rough.
Like, it's just not good.
It's
Unless you were married to a gay man, so he could be with his gay lover and you could be with your lover. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of like genuinely happy marriages in the past.
Well, especially when it's like, I feel like upper class marriages too, like when they're just like all about status and money and stuff like that. Like, I think if you're poor and you have less to care about, like, sure, whatever.
Yeah, or they could be, but then they could be stressed.
Yeah.
On a kind of living in an actual slum.
Exactly. So Joe Sr. just continues purchasing like real estate around America, stuff like that, just building his fortune. He liquidates his stock portfolio right before the market crashes in 1929. And then he rebuys stock at bottom prices. Sound familiar?
Oh, that's so lucky. He got so lucky that happened.
And definitely not the Irish mafia.
No, that was not that is just hard work and luck.
That is hard work.
He's got lucky girl syndrome.
He really lucky girl syndrome,
Yeah.
Joe Sr. Kennedy Sr. So a big kind of proof that people point to for the Irish mafia ties.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Well, honestly, not even that. It's that immediately after the Great Depression, or after Prohibition lifts, I should say, he starts a whiskey importing business.
Yeah.
Like immediately after it ends, which is like, okay, so he was probably doing some shady business.
No.
So here we
Not
are.
Joe Sr.
The gang is all here.
Yeah.
We have the Kennedys, an American new money family that longs to be old money.
Where's Rosemary in the lineup?
We'll get to that.
Oh,
We'll get to that. So from escaping famine less than 100 years ago, the American dream is being realized in this current Kennedy family. With Rose Fitzgerald, Joe Sr.
Writer Blair.
Yep. And so these are the children in order from oldest to youngest. So we have Joseph Jr.
Yep.
Born in 1915.
Great year.
And I'm going to give away spoilers because I'm just going to give you like little markers to remember these by. So Joe Jr., he dies in World War II.
And I'm really excited to talk about that because I think the Kennedys in World War II and the kind of weird competition between them to be the biggest hero is so toxic masculinity. It's so fascinating to me to be like, but I have to be the biggest hero in war.
But I have to be the biggest war hero. Anyway, after that, we have John F., born in 1917. That is JFK.
Gets his brains
absolutely
blown out.
So Rosemary, I stopped writing down birth years after this.
Okay.
After that is Rosemary Kennedy. So she was the one who had disabilities and was lobotomized.
Yep.
We have Kick Kennedy, Kathleen.
Love that. I like Kick.
I like Kick for Kathleen.
Yeah.
I really want to name my daughter Kathleen.
You should.
And Kick is a good nickname.
Kick is a good one, yeah.
Yeah. She died in an airplane accident.
Yeah. This is, okay, somebody's listening to this podcast and has read Emily Henry's new book.
Please.
Sound off in the comments or email us. I need to talk about this.
Yeah. So Eunice is the next girl.
God, this is that feeling when you're Catholic.
This is that feeling when you're Catholic. She's a big supporter of Rosemary. That's sort of where she plays into the story a little bit more.
Eunice.
Then's Patricia, who served as a Republican delegate. Don't know shit about Patricia. Bobby Kennedy, Attorney General under JFK, and Jean served as the U.S. ambassador to Ireland.
Cool.
Sure, girl.
Go for it, girl.
And then Ted Kennedy served as a U.S. senator for Massachusetts for over 50 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of those we're going to be talking about a little bit more than offense to Jean.
Yeah, Eunice. I guess Eunice will be in the Rosemary.
Eunice actually, she'll come back. Right. Eunice will come back.
Ted Kennedy's cool kind of, I feel like he's been around.
Yeah, Ted is like, he kicks around for the long, like I think he's weirdly like,
well, because it's an Irish family, right? So it's like my grandfather's family, the oldest, like they were born because an Irish Catholic family is born so long, right? Like so many kids, but over such a long period of time that like there are people from he was the second youngest.
Yeah,
he was in his like 70s when he died like a couple of years ago in 2020. Yeah. Guess from what? And and his younger brother is my mom's age.
Crazy.
So he's the second youngest, but there's like 19 years between them. And there's like 10 years on the other end of it.
No, but that's like my dad's side of the family, where it's just like his oldest sister was born during World War II when my grandfather was stationed in Newfoundland.
Crazy.
And then I was like, I was born closer to my cousin's, like her daughter's first daughter is closer in age to me than any of my cousins.
That's so crazy.
Like it's so, like it just spans for so long.
Yeah.
So then Joe Sr., Jesus Christ, guys, I'm losing my ability to talk.
Hey, that's okay.
That's okay. It's all
you
about
can
growing
communicate
up.
with dance.
This is now a dance-based podcast.
Yes.
So Joe Sr., he really wants to break into the old money sphere. He buys all 9 of his children elite and prestigious education.
Yeah,
so it's just
baby.
like, you guys are going to be fucking
9
fancy.
kids.
They spend summers at their home in Hannisport, Massachusetts.
Woo!
Infamously, and Christmas at their retreat in Palm Beach.
Woo!
And Joe Sr. is like, it's not enough to be rich. I want to have power.
Of course.
And he kind of sees what we were talking about earlier, this kind of way to be like a truly like American powerful
He's kind of Taylor Swift coded.
He really is. He's the last great American dynasty.
She dated Kennedy.
Oh yeah, she did.
When he was 17 and she signed him out of high school.
Ew. Weird.
No, normal.
No, normal.
No, she never did anything wrong. Really normal.
So he's
I
like,
know people hate when we talk about her on the podcast because we have no information about her.
we're just kind of grasping at straws.
Yeah.
I know. I've been really good at not talking about Taylor Swift lately.
And I think the podcast has really benefited from that.
And I'm sorry, guys, that we even brought her up. So he sets his sights on politics. He's like, this is how we're going to do things. So FDR is president, who is an old friend of Joe Sr.'s, if you remember.
Yep.
He appoints Joe Sr. as chairman at the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's a new department, a new position. Mm-hmm. When World War II breaks out, he makes Joe Sr. the ambassador of the U.S. to the UK.
Okay, that's big. That's not like
big effing thing.
Not like a fake ambassadorship.
No,
you know
that's
what
like
I mean?
a real ambassador. And during the war.
Yeah, like
World
you're
War
not
II.
being given. It's not like, the American ambassador to Barbados or whatever, and you kind of just get to chill.
Yeah, you kind
no
of.
offense to Barbados. I don't know if that's actually a big.
Yeah, but
that's
just
a big.
Like,
I would just assume if I was a rich person who wanted a fake ambassador job, I would want to go somewhere tropical.
Be like, oh, you know what? Damn, you know what?
Bermuda.
Country I'd love to do more dealing with is Costa Rica.
I think that we really need to get in there in Costa Rica.
Yeah, I really.
And I can maybe go to the beach on my off days.
What about like ambassador to the south of France? I mean, France. I mean, shit. So he picks up the whole family and they move over to England.
Great.
Rosemary and Kathleen Kennedy are presented as debutantes to the king.
Love.
So they're just hobnobbing with like the upper classes of royalty.
The diamond of the season.
The diamond of the season. And he kind of then enters this era where he just gets like increasingly more and more unpopular. And
hey, girl,
we're not even going to dig into some of this.
No,
girl, I don't think you have.
Okay, what did he do?
So during the Blitz, the London Blitz, where they were just getting bombed the shit out by the Germans, he flees to the countryside where the whole royal family like stays in London as like a show of solidarity.
Well, yeah.
And you can say a lot about the royal family, but their shining moment was when their city was getting bombed.
And they're like, we're here, girl.
We're here, girl. We're getting bombed too, girl.
Yeah.
He was also just like super openly and proudly anti-Semitic.
Okay, so I actually haven't been there.
Yeah, no, you haven't been there, girl. He preferred to appeal to the Nazis and appease them instead of fighting them, which is insane because he literally was ambassador to England who was actively at war with them.
And also
crazy.
Like we're not going to appease the Nazis.
He at one point tried to arrange a meeting with Hitler.
Love that.
This is all during the war. Again, this is during the war.
Yeah, Hitler is doing war crimes.
Yeah, he also at one point says democracy is finished in England.
Okay.
And was forced to resign based on that, which, crazy thing to say. And then when America kind of goes full force into the war, he's basically cooked.
Yeah.
And all of his presidential ambitions are out the window.
Of course.
So who does he look at? He sets eyes on who we know famously, Joe Jr.
Joe Jr.
And he says, boy, you are going to be president.
And you have to be. And this is not a lot of pressure to put on a boy.
And it's not a lot of pressure to put on you, Joe Sr., who, by the way, is not JFK. He says Joe Jr.
Yeah. Joe Jr., you're going to be president.
Going to be
not
president,
you, JFK.
Joe Jr. Not you, JFK. Actually, go fuck yourself, JFK. Joe Jr.,
you're president.
You're president. So
crazy.
That's our intro to the Kennedys.
Oh,
so it's kind of a lot, but I feel like we're going to be revisiting
entertaining.
things.
I think it was a good kind of base level.
It's everything I learned about the Kennedys is like crazier than the last thing I learned about the Kennedys. So I think it's good that we all get on the same page of like base level information. Then we
need the
together.
mob and the Nazis to come into the fold just so we understand what we're working with.
Yeah,
here.
when we were like pitching this topic, I was like, oh, this is gonna be so fun, kind of chill, really linear. Like, and I wasn't expecting the Nazis and the mob
in episode 1.
In episode 1, baby girl, what the hell are we doing? So I'm really excited for this season. Actually,
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I really was,
and I always think of the summer with the Kennedys.
Yes,
there's something kind of like them kind of at their summering in their house.
Yeah, it is. And now that we just kind of move through seasons at whatever pace we like, I think this is a good one to do because it does kind of span a long time.
Yeah,
and a lot of different things happen. But yeah, that's the basis of the Kennedys. Any comments, questions, concerns, Carley?
Love it.
Okay, slay. Shall we do our segment?
Let's make this tragedy about us.
Okay, so as we talked about the Irish, oh my God, what was it even called? The Irish
mob?
Oh my God. The Irish.
Mafia?
So as we talked about the Irish mob, oh my God, I literally made the Irish switch.
The switch. Yeah.
So we talked about the Irish switch where you shake hands with someone while you're telling a story to another person, then you're winking and smiling at someone across the room. What is your like Carley switch?
Oh, okay. This is a great question. Do you have your answer while I think?
Okay, I'm making it up on the spot because I have not thought about it. But I think it's sort of like singing a song to impress someone, writing a
you're doing
writing
stuff.
a
Okay.
note.
Right.
Writing a note for someone else, and then I'm like I'm carrying like a young twink on my back.
I love that.
That's my Blair switch.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what mine would be. I guess there would have to be some kind of thing of like, I do think there is something to be said about like, you're in a social situation, and I guess the Irish switches to kind of like be like, oh, so charming, so whatever.
Yeah, like say
So
hi to
I'm
everyone at
riffing.
once. Yeah, you're
I'm
riffing.
with someone while I'm playing, what's the hand game that's not patty cake, but it's like,
Oh, concentration?
yes, I'm
Okay.
playing concentration.
While you're riffing? Okay.
And then I'm also getting my shoes shined.
That's good. That's good.
I think I've never done
Have
before.
someone service you at the same time.
Just for status.
Yeah. I also think like another one could be like taking a shot while the joint's still in your mouth. And, like you're just doing it all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think my party version of it is, the thing that I really like to do is just sit on the couch and kind of let people come to me.
Yeah.
So you're sitting on the couch talking to someone. You're calling an Uber.
And you're ordering food to your home. Yeah.
That's the Carley switch.
That's the Carley switch. Yeah. I also think the Carley switch could be uploading YouTube, uploading Instagram, uploading 3 things at the same time.
doing a big drop.
Doing a big drop. Well, and that's it. Thanks for tuning in again. We're happy to be back.
We're so excited to embark with you upon this journey.
I know. I'm so happy to have a new topic.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.